So, unless you've been living under a rock at the moment, Battlefield 1 beta is out. Let's have a small discussion about it. So, Battlefield 1. This is a very hyped game already. Coming in off the burners of No Man's Sky Hyperdrive to the face really melts any hopes of a game that is hyped kind of as much as this is to me to be any way, shape, or form true. Now, not being a fan of Battlefront or Field, I was a fan of Battlefront, which has almost an identical scheme on how things are done. Which, I mean, I never played any of the Battlefields before this, really, except for maybe Battlefield 4, a couple of rounds here or there with friends. But I felt as though I could avoid the hype this time and actually just get down to the brass tacks and the gameplay, which is what we're going to do. We're not going to dwell on any of the hype or griping over the bugs, which just seem to be everybody's thing. Oh, I want to gripe about this. Oh, I want to gripe about that. But this is a free beta. This is a product used to fix and balance gameplay aspects and bugs. That's what the focus is. And I kind of just want to drift away from that and actually talk about the gameplay for once. It doesn't seem like anyone's doing that. So, we're going to start with the guns. I'm going to break this down by the classes, mainly because there's some variations on guns. The assault class has a shotgun, which I haven't used too much because I used it once and realized that I need a little more range. With the size of the battlefield, the shotgun just doesn't seem at all worth it. You need a lot more range, and anything lower than the SMG that you get with the assault, it doesn't seem to work. Not in this conquest mode, at least, that we're playing. Secondly, let's just look at each of the classes mainly. The assault class, it's super fun. I mean, it's basically the anti-tank class. You get an SMG and mostly anti-tank weaponry. You get an anti-tank gun. You get a small tank grenades. It's a lot more fun. It's basically just to set tanks on fire. Oh, I love a good marshmallow roast. Then we have other classes to get into. This one I have a little less experience with. If it wasn't for my boy CV Skivers, I really wouldn't know anything about it. He plays this class constantly in games that we play together, and I ask him to give me feedback on it. Really is where I get this experience from. But it seems to be a solid overall class. I'm no healer, but it seems to be extremely squishy. The gun it gets is a really good gun. It's a semi-automatic, and then you heal people. I'm not a healer. We also have the support. It's got the biggest machine gun, fully automatic, and you carry around extra ammo. One of the main guns I'm using is the machine gun with the magazine. I can't remember the name of it, but the magazine actually comes out the side like a stick. It's probably the best machine gun on a support class in my mind. And if you can find a nice little spot or run around in a nice little order, you actually have enough ammunition to pull up a streak that's crazy. I mean, it's phenomenally crazy, even though kill streaks and stuff like that are not the main focus of this game. Then, of course, we have the sniper class, which is the scouts. Scouts are armed with a bolt-action rifle that has a single shot. Pistol, of course, for running around, which, I mean, really does come in handy, but doesn't really feel like it does too much damage. They also come with a flare gun. It kind of helps you in spotting where people are going to be. It's a very helpful tool as far as with you and other people. But sniping is the best part of this class. It's so satisfying to get a good headshot that when you get that shoulder shot, I mean, it's nowhere. You got to get that headshot. You feel like you got to get that headshot. You got to zoom in, and you just got to tighten in, and you got to take them out. And it warms your heart when you get it, and I love it. And then while we've already broken down the types of classes you can be, let's also talk about the specialty weapons. I really don't know what they're called, but I'm just going to call them specialty weapons. There's a flamethrower. That's at objective 3. Or B, sorry. I don't know why I said 3. Wrote down B, reading it. Horrible job. But yeah, it's a flamethrower. It's exactly what you expect. It's got a wide gate of attack. It does dot damage over time. It's super fun. I love it. You're super OP with it. All the specialty weapons you are. The fully automatic machine gun that doesn't overheat can be found at objective F. Sorry, I had lost my place on the script, but objective F. It can be found there, and it's just it can tear up anything less than a light tank. If you see a guy riding in a truck, boom, take him out. See a guy on a horse, you are taking that horse out under from his feet. It's great. And then we have an anti-tank gun found at objection E. This is probably the one-hit win-all. Now, this gun seems to be nothing more than a copy of the anti-tank bullets from the scout class. But the amount of power behind it, just running up and smacking people, right? You can snipe people from a pretty good distance and just knock them out one hit, no matter where you hit them out. It's a great feeling. It's super satisfying. As far as I can tell, sniping is some of the most satisfying parts of this game. And then you have land-mounted weapons. It's supposed to help you with assault on vehicles. There are anti-air guns. There are tank mortars. Everything. It's all there, and it's all really fun to use. In fact, those are my favorite parts. Are using those weaponries, the placed weapons, the heavy artillery, and possibly all of the vehicles. Super fun to use. Now, the thing about the vehicles, though, if you spawn into them, you don't even get your class weapon set unless you spawn into, I think, a tank or a truck. Most of the time, though, when you spawn on a horse, you get the cavalry weapon set, which comes with a health pack, ammunition pack, gun, and a saber. Anytime you jump on a horse, you automatically obtain that, which is the same thing for all the specialty weapons. The second you pick them up, you automatically obtain their weapon loadout. This is something that I see as a huge flaw. If I have a loadout, it's because I want that loadout. If I pick up a special weapon, it's because I want to use that weapon temporarily. When the weapon is out of ammunition and I'm ready to go, I'm ready for that weapon to be done. I really don't understand how giving weapons their own specific giving weapons their own specific outlook, like lock on things that you can have associated with them. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't really make any sense. On top of that, all the planes, all the tanks, everything seem to have that same locked in weapon scheme, and it's just not. It's not okay. If you're going to give us the choice to make our own loadouts, that's the word I was looking for, loadout. But if you're going to give us that choice, why take it away? Because we want to try something else in the game. We want to try to have a little more fun. It's kind of crazy. So what is there in this game other than guns, really? I mean, it's a battlefield game. It's got to have weapons. That's got to be one of the main aspects is weapons. Vehicles is another. Now, we're going to talk about that for a second. Vehicles, there's a couple different classes. Of course, you have your planes, which at the moment it looks like we have the choice from a bomber, an attack, and a fighter. The fighter is more maneuverable, a little faster. The attack is mainly made, it looks like, to attack the ground. And the bomber is the same way, but the attack and the fighter are both kind of specialized for taking out the bomber. Now, the bomber can have 3 people on it. It's all historically accurate on how all these vehicles ran, it's pretty much one of the biggest selling points to me, is the historical accuracy. EA was even kind of scared when they first built this game that people wouldn't even know what War One was. Now, me being the huge nerd history buff, I love everything to do with any kind of war that kind of engrosses half the world's population. But all the little features, like what I'm flying at this moment, is a fighter. It's got the 3 wings to add maneuverability and stability, and it's just the way you control it. It's super fun. You have to kind of tilt to the left and the right in order just to make your flight patterns correct. The fighter and the assault planes only can use one person. It's overall really well done mechanics on the flight. The flight seems real. It's not too buggy. I mean, every now and then you'll hit the ground. That's a given. Some of the other vehicles that are actually usable are a heavy and light tank, and then an armored vehicle, which is basically an old school car, armor plating on the side, big, nice machine gun in the back. All of those, they're very difficult to drive. First person view, you're looking out of a little window like you would be in an actual tank. Then third person view seems to be my preferred method of actually driving those around. Then you also have your horse that you can get as a cavalry member. Super fun. The horse can actually be killed as well. That's awesome job there. Some other games would leave that out very carelessly. Battlefield seems to have really in depth. Your horse even has an HP bar so that you yourself can keep track of it. It's a nice little feature. The saber, probably one of my favorite weapons. Nothing really feels as good as riding up full speed on your trusty steed and just stabbing a guy in the face. Something about that just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. And this game really kind of brings that forward. Let's talk about some other aspects other than vehicles. Look at the graphics. The graphical detail in this game is just pretty amazing. Actually, I was running across a dune and ducked because I was getting shot at. I ended up dying because I looked at the sand and went, "Whoa, that's gorgeous! The sand has sparkles. The sand has detail. It moves with you. The grainage. It's insanity. When a mortar hits it, it creates a hole from the amount of damage done, and it's yourself, your gun, everything in this game seems to just be beautifully made, which is not one of EA's faults. EA is really good at making a pretty game. They have a little more difficulty with making a bug-free or a game which they sold us in the beginning, but pretty they've got down. Now, how would I rate this overall as a finished product, as a game to play? It's fun. It's a beta, but it's fun. I am now looking forward to the actual game. I really think that it's going to be not as hyped as everyone made No Man's Sky or other games. And I really hope that this can live up to the amount of minor hype that we do give it. Overall, this beta has me excited. Let's see what we can muster up when the actual game comes out and we get more than one map and 2 game modes.